Hello, this is Dana with the Freedom Please channel and essenceofme.com. I'm coming to you all today with this quick introduction because this video has been long overdue. I've been dropping hints about it, telling you all that it was coming, and it is here. Look, y'all gotta forgive that little box right there. I'm like looking at the box. That's where I put all my little scraps. But this is my show and tell for my very first quilt called Payton's Lovie. I showed you all a picture of it here recently in my So New video. And so this is just going to go in a little bit more detail. I'm going to do it hopefully as primarily a voiceover. There are some video clips and a little bit, some of it may be redundant, but that's because I was doing it over different blocks of time and just didn't remember what I said and what I didn't say. And I'm just going to marry it all together. If you have any questions, let me know. The accompanying blog post will have the link to the details for the original inspiration pattern, which came from Missouri Star Quilt Company. And I'm sure there's going to be some more. But for now, I hope you all enjoyed this. Let me know what you think. And if you have any questions, I am super proud of this project. And not just because it was my first quilt. I mean, because that was kind of a big deal. But because it was for a very good friend. And they love it. And that's all that matters. And doing this, it just reminded me of just like when I'm doing my prayer shawls and you're giving things to other people. As I was stitching, I just remembered a lot of things that we did. We used to go to concerts together. Like, we had a really great time. She used to babysit my kids for me. Like, her and her family made my life in law school like doable and livable, being that we did not have a lot of support and family in our nearby area. And so I just really appreciated her, and I just wanted to do something special. And so here I am, proud to introduce my very first quilt, Payton's Lovie. Enjoy. Here you're seeing the fabrics that I began with. I made 5-inch strips of each of the different colors, and I had a varying number of each of the colors as I went into the process of making my own charm pack, essentially, because there were 5-inch squares with 2.5-inch strips, and here were my final squares. And I did not use them all because, again, I was winging it for quite a bit of the blanket. Here you're going to see where I fussy cut some of the animals from the main fabric, which was a Riley Blake fabric, and I cut them more later. I also had to decide how I was going to do the nameplate, and that's what I'm calling it, and I decided to do all of the letters in that chocolate brown. I'm so glad that I did. In the next picture, you're going to see when I was auditioning how I wanted the animals to sit, because I didn't want them to just sit, you know, any kind of way. And you'll see that each of the animals had their own little placement, and this was after the animals were in place on the fabric. And here was my final quilt top, and that's me holding it there. And this is when I was basting it with the backing as well as the batting. And here is the blanket. Okay, I'm gonna do this video because by the time I record my real video, the blanket will be gone. I'm scanning down and I'm going to come a little closer before my husband's arms get tired. I did free motion quilting, and I just did I think it's called a stipple. I did not do anything on the colored blocks because I wanted the fabric to do the work on that. I fussy cut the animals, and I did stitch around all the letters with a zigzag stitch using a variegated thread. I had to learn with each one of the animals how I was going to handle them because they are fused down, but I wanted to ensure that they would not come off. So there are more of the animals, and I placed them at various places on the letters. I did also do a zigzag stitch here because I wanted to show the differences in the variegated thread. And so that is it. It ends up being, I think it's like 40 inches by 58. I'll tell you more later before my husband gets tired of holding my blanket. Okay, my husband had to leave. I wanted to show one more thing. I did a scrappy binding. So you can see the yellow, the green, the peach, the turquoise, and the cream. And I just used the fabric that I used in the blocks. And so that is what I am calling Payton's Lovie. Now in this clip, I must admit I was extremely excited because this was after the quilt got out of the washer and dryer. You see the stitches puffed up, or the batting puffed up really nicely. My animals held up wonderfully, and it just all turned out really well. I also had the label attached, which I'm going to show here. And I think I'm going to show it one more time. There it goes. I didn't want to show their actual information. And so that was it. In the end, here is the final blanket. I enjoyed making it. They loved it, and I hope you have enjoyed this video. Let me know if you have any questions. Thank you for watching, and have a great day. So that is it. There's a couple of things I don't know if I covered. I want to say one more time that the basis, the pattern that I used was the, I believe it's the Falling Charms pattern from Missouri Star Quilt Company. And the reason why I was winging it was because I was not using the size that they were using. And also I had to make adjustments for the nameplate, which is what I'm calling the portion of the blanket where his name was featured. I did use a fusible, I used steam-a-seam on the letters as well as the animals. I hand stitched the animals down. I machine stitched as well, even though they were fused, the letters. The binding was a scrappy binding, and I did it by hand. And there was something, I did do the free motion quilting myself, and I did a stipple for that, and I did that all over the blanket. I did it in various, it was very condensed over the nameplate, and I did it that way intentionally, and I had it a little more broad in the animal, the areas with the animals and all of that, and I did not do any on the color, the blocks of color. I think that's it. I'm trying to think if there's anything else that I can think of. All of the fabric, except for the animal fabric, all of the fabric was purchased at Joann's. So yes, I was hitting them up big time. And the except for in the backing, I purchased that from Connecting Threads. And the Riley Blake, I believe the name of the animal fabric, I found that I had to find that on Etsy because I think that's a fabric they no longer make. And so I found someone that had some left over from another project, which I was so thankful for because I wanted that fabric. And I think that's it. I kind of would like to do that blanket again. I think I learned a lot from it. And so I just had a really great time. So that's it. I didn't want this to be too long. I just want to make sure I covered everything. And I think I did, that's it. If you can think of anything, oh, the variegated yarn came from Connecting Threads as well. And so I think that's it. If you could think of anything else or you have any other questions, let me know. I don't have the exact like names and brands of the fabrics. I literally picked those fabrics by sight and based on a store-bought set that they purchased for the nursery. And so this actually coordinates with what they have, even though it's not the exact same fabric. I think she likes it more because it was, it was handmade. And I think that's it. Let me know if you have any questions. I think I covered everything though. So yeah, so when I said I was winging it, I was, but I wasn't. I did have calculations. I did pre-plan out based on the block size and the dimensions that I wanted for the blanket. That took a lot of time. Who knew? I do now. And so, but like the animals, the placement and all of that, like I had to audition the fabrics and all of that and decide on how I wanted it to be in the end, because initially I wanted it with the color blocks, but I thought it would be way too much color with all of those animals. And I'm so glad I went with the brown because it kind of calmed it down a little bit and allowed those animals to kind of do some extra work for me. And so that's it. For real, for real. Let me know if you'd like for me to do more of these videos based on the upcoming quilts that I have coming up. As always, I appreciate you for watching and for your support. Let me know if you have any questions or if you would like for me to make this quilt for someone you know. Take care, and I will see you all hopefully sooner than later. Goodbye.